The moon hung like a silver scythe over the frost-laced expanse of Eldridge Lake, its light fracturing on the ice as if the night itself were shattering. Arabella Beaumont stood there, her breath clouding in ragged plumes, the thin fabric of her shift clinging to her skin like a shroud soaked in betrayal's chill. Around her, the silhouettes of armed figures loomed, merciless enforcers with eyes glowing faintly in the dark, their weapons drawn in a circle of inevitable doom. She could feel the weight of their malice, the air thick with the scent of pine resin and impending blood, as if the forest itself conspired against her. But then, from the blazing ruins of what had been their humble refuge, a figure emerged. Her husband, Alistair, no longer the stooped wanderer of whispers and mockery, but a colossus of fury, his form rippling with an otherworldly power that made the ground tremble beneath her feet. His eyes, once dulled by feigned humility, now burned with a golden fire that pierced the shadows, commanding the wind to howl in submission. The enforcers faltered, their grips tightening on hilts as Alistair's voice thundered across the ice. A voice not of a man, but of ancient authority, laced with the growl of untamed wilderness. "Release her," he commanded, and in that moment, Arabella's heart surged with a mix of terror and exhilaration, realizing the beggar she had wed was the storm that would upend empires. The lake cracked under the pressure of his approach, fissures spidering outward like veins of fate unraveling. She locked eyes with him, her defiance mirroring his, even as chains bit into her wrists. What would you do, cornered by fate's cruel hand, when the one you trusted reveals a power that could save or doom you? Drop your thoughts in the comments, your choice might echo hers. Yet this was no sudden miracle. It was the culmination of a path forged in fire and scorn, a journey that began not on this frozen battleground, but in the gilded halls where status was a blade sharper than any claw. Back then, in the opulent heart of Glenhaven Enclave, a hidden society where shifters ruled with iron pedigrees and poverty was a mark for exile. Arabella had been little more than a pawn in a game of alliances. Her father's fall from grace, a once respected advisor brought low by fabricated scandals, left her family teetering on ruin's edge. The Enclave's elite, with their furred forms and predatory instincts, thrived on such weaknesses, their gatherings a veneer of elegance over raw dominance. On that fateful autumn eve, as rain lashed the stained-glass windows of the grand pavilion, Arabella adjusted the frayed hem of her borrowed gown, its faded sapphire threads a stark contrast to the lavish silks swirling around her. The air hummed with the low rumble of conversations, scented with aged oak and the metallic tang of suppressed ferocity. She knew what awaited: the ritual of pairings, where unmated females were paraded like prizes to secure bloodlines and fortunes. For Arabella, daughter of the disgraced, the choice was no choice at all. Submit or be cast out as rogue, forsaken by pack and kin. Her stepmother, Euphemia, a sharp-featured woman with a tongue like venom, gripped her arm with claw-like fingers. "Smile, girl, or you'll doom us all. Beaumont Montfort has deigned to claim you. His wealth will clear your father's debts and keep him breathing in that wretched sanatorium." Beaumont Montfort, the Enclave's heir apparent, a man of chiseled arrogance and shadowed cruelties, who had taunted her through youth with sneers at her threadbare existence. Now he sought her not for love, but conquest, a trophy to polish his legacy. The pavilion's crystal chandeliers cast flickering shadows as the music swelled, then halted. Montfort ascended the dais, his voice booming like distant thunder. "Tonight, I select a mate befitting my station, one who understands obedience." His gaze pinned Arabella, a smirk curling his lips. Arabella Beaumont, ascend and accept your honor. The crowd's eyes bored into her, a sea of judgment. She climbed the steps, legs heavy as lead, the weight of her father's frail life pressing down. Montfort extended a ring, gleaming with ill-gotten opals. "Kneel and pledge," he demanded, his tone laced with triumph. But in that suspended breath, Arabella's spirit rebelled, a fire kindled by years of whispers and slights. "No," she declared, the words slicing the silence like a blade. Gasps rippled through the assembly. Montfort's face twisted. "You dare reject me? By enclave law, refuse a superior match, and you must wed another by midnight or face exile." "I know the edicts," Arabella replied, her voice steady despite the quake in her chest. She scanned the room, seeking any who might defy the heir's wrath. Eyes averted, alliances crumbling under fear. Then, through the service entrance, a figure entered. A tall, unkempt man in soiled livery, balancing trays of vintage wines. He paused, amber eyes meeting hers with an unflinching calm amid the chaos. Montfort followed her gaze, erupting in derisive laughter. "The vagrant? The scentless stray who mops our floors? Choose your filth, then it matches your blood." Arabella descended, weaving through the stunned elite to stand before the stranger. He smelled of earth and storm, a grounding presence in the storm of scorn. "Will you have me?" she asked, voice barely above a whisper. He set down his burden, wiping hands scarred from labors unseen. "If you're certain," he rumbled, his tone rough yet resonant. As she took his hand, the pavilion dissolved into mockery, but Arabella stepped into the rain-swept night, bound to Alastair Drummond. A name whispered once in passing, leaving behind the cage of expectation for an unknown abyss. The first days of their union were a harsh forge, tempering Arabella's resolve against the anvil of destitution. Their home was a weathered lodge on the enclave's fringes, its timbers groaning under wind's assault, roof patched with makeshift tarps that wept during storms. No grand hearths here, only a sputtering stove where Alastair coaxed flames from damp logs, his movements precise, almost regal in their economy. Arabella, accustomed to sparse comforts but not this raw edge, learned to boil stream water and mend leaks with rags, her hands blistering as pride warred with necessity. Alastair spoke little, his past a shadowed vault he guarded fiercely. By day he toiled at menial tasks, repairing fences for ungrateful landowners, scavenging metals from forgotten ruins, bringing home scraps of coin for meager provisions. Evenings, they shared silence by firelight, the crackle of embers underscoring unspoken questions. "Why this life?" Arabella ventured one night, as sleet pelted the panes. "You carry yourself like one who's known command." He stirred the pot of root stew, eyes distant. "Command brings chains of its own. I chose freedom or what passes for it." His voice held layers, educated inflections slipping through the gruff facade, hinting at educations in halls far grander than this. Yet he asked of her, her father's lingering illness, the blackmail that had chained her family, Euphemia's calculated cruelties. In those exchanges, a bond formed, not of passion yet, but mutual respect, like roots entwining in barren soil. The enclave's venom seeped in relentlessly. On market days, Arabella endured the stares, the deliberate bumps from silk-clad matrons. Pauper's bride. They hissed, their shifter senses picking up her unshifted weakness, an anomaly she attributed to her lowly blood. Euphemia cornered her once by the well, lips curled in disdain. "You've dragged us into the mire," Montfort blacklists you now. No work, no mercy for your father. The words struck deep, Arabella's fear for her parent. A man whose coughs echoed in her memories, fueling nights of doubt. We've no path forward, she confessed to Alastair, tears tracing her cheeks as they huddled under a threadbare quilt. He placed a calloused hand over hers, warmth radiating like a hidden forge. Paths reveal themselves to those who endure. From his pocket, he drew a rough-hewn gem, dull yet heavy, sliding it into her palm. Hold this. It's endured pressures that would crush lesser stones. She clutched it, unaware it hailed from sealed quarries of the Highland realms, lands sealed after a royal cataclysm. In that gesture, Alastair's enigma deepened. A man who fixed broken mechanisms with scholarly precision, who moved with a warrior's grace when chopping wood. Arabella's curiosity bloomed into something tender, a flicker of light in their shadowed existence. As winter's grip tightened, the harassment intensified. Returning from foraging berries, Arabella found their lodge defaced. Slurs etched in charcoal across the door, windows shattered by hurled stones. Inside, Alastair swept debris, his calm a stark contrast to her outrage. Montfort's doing, she spat. Scent confirms it, he replied, nostrils flaring subtly. Cedar and spite. His posture straightened then, shedding the slouch of subservience, broad shoulders filling the space like a sentinel awakened. We flee, Arabella urged, panic rising. No, Alastair countered, voice firm as granite. Tomorrow's solstice rite demands our presence. We face them, not as victims but equals. From a concealed trunk he produced garments. For her, a gown of rich emerald velvet, its weave speaking of distant artisans. For himself, a tailored coat of charcoal wool. Traded favors. He dismissed her awe. In that moment, gazing at him, Arabella sensed the shift. Not just in attire, but in the air between them. The vagrant was vanishing, replaced by a presence that stirred her blood, promising upheavals she could scarcely fathom. The solstice gathering unfolded in the enclave's opulent forum, a cavern of marble veined with silver, adorned with evergreen boughs and crystalline orbs that mimicked starlight. It was a spectacle of affluence, designed to reinforce the hierarchy where lesser shifters bowed to the elite's whims. Arabella entered on Alastair's arm, her emerald gown accentuating her lithe form, drawing envious glances that masked deeper malice. Alastair, transformed in his coat, scanned the throng with tactical acuity, his hand steady on hers. Whispers crested like waves. The outcast returns. With that rogue. Euphemia swept forward, her gown a gaudy cascade of gold, eyes narrowing. Thief's finery won't hide your shame. Who funded this masquerade? Earned honestly? Alastair interjected, his tone slicing through her venom, compelling her retreat. The tension peaked as Montfort approached, clutching a sealed parchment, his face a mask of feigned benevolence twisted by rage. A gift for the newlyweds, he sneered, flinging it at Arabella's feet. She retrieved it, unfolding to reveal a decree. Eviction from her father's care ward, debts invoked as pretext. Your sire's time runs short, Montfort proclaimed, voice carrying for all to hear. Unless you renounce this farce, beg my favor here and now. Arabella's vision blurred with fury and fear, knees buckling under the ultimatum. Her father's life hung by this thread. Without the ward's elixirs, he'd fade within days. She began to yield, but Alastair's grip halted her. How much to settle? He demanded. Montfort barked laughter. $60,000. Pocket change for elites. Ruin for scum like you. Alastair withdrew the gem from his coat, tossing it. This uncut sapphire from Highland depths, valued at twice that. Montfort scoffed, but the Enclave's gem appraiser, Elder Fitzroy, examined it, proclaiming its authenticity and worth. Gasps echoed. Montfort's triumph curdled. Stolen! Seize him! The debt cleared, but pride wounded. Montfort invoked ritual combat. Face me in the arena or forfeit all. Arabella pleaded. He's untrained. You'll slaughter him. Alastair shed his coat, handing it to her. Trust the path. The arena, a ring of torchlit stone, thrummed with anticipation. Montfort shifted to hybrid form, claws extended, muscles bulging with shifter might. Alastair remained human, dodging with lethal grace, dismantling the air with precise strikes that felled him and his guards. The crowd reeled as Alastair's eyes flickered gold, a hint of supremacy. In victory, he spared them, but the Enclave's alpha, Reginald Montfort, lurked in shadows, ordering inquiries. That technique, its royal doctrine. Back at the lodge, Arabella confronted Alastair. Who are you truly? A survivor of lost wars. He evaded, but the seed of doubt and desire took root, propelling them toward revelations that would shatter their world. Weeks blurred into a tense vigil, the Enclave's surface calm masking undercurrents of scheming. Arabella navigated the fallout with newfound steel, her days filled with clandestine visits to her father, whose condition stabilized under anonymous funds Alastair somehow procured. The lodge, once a symbol of despair, became a sanctuary where they shared stories under starlit eaves. Hers of childhood slights, his cryptic tales of distant battles, veiled in metaphor. Harassment persisted. Poisoned wells, shadowed tales, whispers of exile. One eve, rummaging for tools, Arabella dislodged a floorboard, revealing a tome of clippings, headlines of a Highland monarchy's fall. A prince vanished amid assassination. The images, faded yet striking, matched Alastair's profile. Younger, polished, but those amber eyes unmistakable. He returned to find her poring over it, expression weary. I fled a throne stained with blood, he confessed. Hunting traitors who slew my kin. One hides here, that's why I came. The admission deepened their bond, nights turning intimate as barriers crumbled. Love wasn't my quest, Alastair murmured, tracing her cheek. Yet here it blooms. Arabella's own secrets stirred. Her unshifted state nagged, dreams of violet mists hinting at suppressed power. Euphemia ambushed her at market, revealing fragments. Your blood's not common. Montfort silenced it for leverage. Obstacles mounted. Montfort's spies closed in, a forged warrant branding Alastair thief. They evaded patrols, Alastair teaching her evasion with warriors' patience, their alliance forging into passion amid forest hides. Red herrings abounded, suspected allies turning coat, forcing trust's test. Growth emerged in subtle shifts. Arabella's posture straightened. Voice commanded respect from fringe dwellers who rallied quietly. Alastair's guard lowered, revealing vulnerabilities, nightmares of loss that she soothed. As solstice waned, tension crested with the intercepted missive. Montfort's pact with a distant tyrant, offering Alastair's head for riches. The stakes soared, not just survival, but reclaiming a legacy. In a stolen moment by a hidden glen, Alastair vowed, "We'll end this shadow play." Arabella nodded, ember of inner fire kindling. The path ahead promised fractures, but their union held firm, a beacon against encroaching dark. Would you hold fast to a love built on secrets when the world demands its price? Share your reflections in the comments. Your insights might mirror the twists ahead. We're both veiled, she said, voice trembling. Aren't we? Silence fell like a blade. For a long moment he said nothing. Then he closed the book slowly. Golden flecks stirred in his dark gaze. Not a trick of light, but something alive, moving beneath the surface. "Yes," he said at last. The words seemed to carry the weight of confession, relief, and dread all at once. "I sensed it in you from the beginning," he continued quietly. "A resonance, something ancient." She sank into the chair opposite him, her hands shaking. "My father told me the truth. About my mother. About Montfort." Alistair's jaw tightened. "So it is confirmed." "He drugged our water," she said, the words tasting bitter, "to suppress my abilities, to make me appear weak." His expression darkened into something lethal. "That explains much." Her eyes lifted to his. "And you? What are you hiding?" He hesitated, a rare fracture in his composure. "My hunt ends soon," he said finally. "The traitor responsible for the assassins is Reginald." Her breath caught. "Your own blood. The one who opened the gates," Alistair said, voice like steel drawn across stone. "The one who sold us." Betrayal upon betrayal. The room felt too small, too heavy with truths that should never have existed. Before she could respond, the doors burst open. A messenger staggered inside, blood streaking his sleeve. "Raid," he gasped. "Our allies attacked Montfort's forces and Highland mercenaries. Victorin's banner." Victorin, the usurper king of the Northern Territories. Ruthless, expansionist, known for placing bounties on enemies' heads. "Alive or dead?" Alistair demanded. "Alive," the messenger said. "Price is higher." Of course it was. Arabella felt something flare inside her. A surge of heat, pressure, light. Instinctively, she turned as a shadow moved behind the messenger. A blade flashed. Time slowed. She did not think. She did not plan. She reacted. Violet light erupted from her skin in a shimmering wave. The blade struck the aura and rebounded with a ringing metallic crack, spinning from the attacker's hand. Everyone froze. Arabella stared at her own hands, trembling, haloed in faint amethyst glow. "What did I just do?" she whispered. Alistair's eyes were wide, not with fear, but awe. "You awakened." The assassin fled. No one pursued. They were all staring at her, at the impossible. Later, long after the chaos subsided, long after strategies had been whispered and defenses reinforced, Arabella stood alone on the balcony outside her chamber. The night air was cool, fragrant with pine and distant rain. Footsteps approached behind her, steady, familiar. Alistair stopped beside her, not touching, not speaking. For once, neither of them had the strength for words. Finally, she said softly, "Everything I believed about myself was a lie." He exhaled slowly. "Not everything." She turned to him. "Then what was real?" His gaze held hers, unwavering, vulnerable in a way she had never seen. "This." He reached for her hand. When their fingers intertwined, the contact sent a subtle pulse through her. Not painful, not overwhelming, but resonant, like two notes finding harmony. "You are not weak," he said quietly. "You never were. And whatever comes, you will not face it alone." Emotion surged. Relief, terror, longing, anger, hope, all tangled together until she could not separate them. She stepped forward. He met her halfway. The kiss was not gentle. It was desperate, searching, grounding. as though both of them needed proof that something in this unraveling world was still solid. "You're my anchor," he murmured against her hair. But even as he held her, doubt lingered in the space between heartbeats. Because anchors can drag you down as easily as they keep you steady. And storms were coming. Montfort was mobilizing. Victorine was hunting. Reginald was waiting. And Arabella's eyes, faintly, unmistakably, were beginning to glow violet. Despair cloaked the enclave like a shroud, as insurmountable odds converged in a symphony of ruin. The assault came at midnight's heart, canisters hissing through shattered panes, filling the lodge with acrid smoke that burned lungs and eyes. Alistair roused instantly, shielding Arabella as gunfire shredded walls, splinters flying like shrapnel from a war long thought ended. "This is no pack skirmish," he growled, moving through haze with predatory instinct, dispatching intruders with brutal efficiency. Necks snapped, weapons turned against wielders. But numbers overwhelmed. Mercenaries in tactical gear, armed with suppressants to bind shifter forms. Arabella crawled to the concealed egress, her father's locket clutched like a talisman. But a boot slammed her down, Montfort's voice sneering above. "The seer's spawn, how fitting to end you here." Dragged to the lake's edge, she became bait, the ice a stage for final cruelties. Alistair emerged, wounded and ragged, facing 30 foes under Reginald's command. "Surrender, pretender," Reginald mocked, revealing his treachery. "Victorine awaits your head." Hopelessness crested as Alistair fought valiantly but faltered under volleys. Blood staining snow. Arabella's screams echoed, her power stirring fitfully but suppressed by lingering toxins. Inner fears assaulted her, doubts of worth, terror of loss, plunging her into abyss where escape seemed illusion. Captured, chains binding her nascent gifts, she faced Reginald's gloat. "Your line ends, as does his." The helicopter's distant thrum mocked rescue's absence. Despair absolute as flames consumed their haven, symbols of fragile peace. In this nadir, desperation birthed silent vows. If survival dawned, vengeance would be unrelenting. Yet for now, shadows claimed all, testing souls to breaking. From despair's depths, an ember ignited, kindling inner strength in realizations that reshaped fate. Bound on the ice, Arabella's mind raced, the locket's warmth pulsing against her skin, a reminder of untapped legacy. As Montfort's blade hovered, her violet essence surged, shattering restraints in a burst of ethereal light that stunned captors. Alistair, bloodied but unbowed, seized the chaos, breaking free with renewed ferocity. "The flare," he urged, handing her the device concealed in his tattered garb. She fired it skyward, a crimson bloom signaling allies long hidden. Realizations cascaded. Her power wasn't flaw but fortress. Alistair's love not deception but devotion. Reuniting amid skirmish, they fought back to back, her visions guiding strikes, his strength amplifying hers. "We end this together," he vowed, their bond a turning tide. Irrevocable choices followed. Sparing a turncoat for intel, committing to reclaim the throne. Hope rekindled as rotors thundered, loyalists descending, Highland Guardians answering the call. Courage swelled, setting the stage for finale's blaze, shadows yielding to dawn's promise. The confrontation erupted in a maelstrom of fury and fire, heroic twists unraveling the tapestry of tyranny. Helicopters descended like avenging specters, disgorging elite guardians in obsidian armor, their forms shifting to colossal beasts that encircled the mercenaries. Wolves from hidden legions burst from treelines, howls shaking the ice. Alistair transformed, his frame expanding into a majestic obsidian wolf with silvered mane, a primal sovereign unseen for eras. Arabella, channeling her heritage, shifted to a luminous ivory form, violet eyes blazing as she wove illusions that disoriented foes. Together, They charged, Alistair dismantling Reginald with calculated mercy, severing his shifting ability, condemning him to mortality. Montfort lunged in panic, but Arabella's ethereal strike felled him, her howl compelling submission. Twists peaked as Victorin's remote forces intervened via drones, but Guardian's tech jammed them, payoff in triumphant roars. Relief washed over as enemies knelt, the lake's cracks symbolizing broken regimes. In victory's glow, Alistair and Arabella stood united, relief mingling with triumph's sweet ache. In aftermath's gentle light, growth flourished, subplots weaving into a tapestry of renewal. The Highland Palace welcomed them, its spires of onyx and crystal a far cry from the lodge's humility. Yet Arabella adapted with grace, her violet gaze commanding reverence. Alistair, crowned anew, dismantled hierarchies, channeling seized assets to heal the oppressed. Schools rising, wards expanded, her father restored to vitality. Subplots resolved. Euphemia's exile to fringes, stripped of finery. Fringe allies elevated to council. Arabella's reign as ethereal queen revolutionized, her judgments fostering equity. Love with Alistair deepening in shared rule. Hope bloomed eternal, their union a beacon. From scorned to sovereign, proving spirit's triumph over station. As they overlooked thriving realms, joy enveloped them, a golden age dawning. How did this ascent from ashes resonate with you? Comment your favorite twist and subscribe for more epic tales of defiance and destiny.